Hello everyone, this is Lori from Grammy's Keepsakes, and here we are with part 2 of our Craft Together Let's Make Little Golden Books. So we left off with choosing the papers yesterday, and then after I filmed, I went ahead and cut my papers down, and I used the size of my book signatures to know what size to cut my papers. So I've got 6 5/8 by just over 7 7/8 for this book. Each book is a little different, so you do need to measure your book, and or you can make them however size you want. That's the pleasure of it. And then I just kind of roughly put my pages in, and I've added some drawing paper. I folded, here's that pretty picture that was the drawing that was in this book. I folded up my music sheet to form a pocket, and I kept the holes from the binding up at the top. I thought they would be too fragile if I had them here by the pocket. And I've got my Kool-Aid dyed paper, and I've got a newsprint paper, ledger, wallpaper, graph paper, children's book page, tea-dyed paper. So that's in this signature, and they're all pretty much similar. In this book, the Raggedy Ann and the We Help Daddy, I used those other children's book pages that I pulled out, and I used them for a signature inside these. So this one's got the bears. So made it kind of fun. And then I just complemented it with the other pages. But the story is in the first and the third signature. So it's Raggedy Ann. So the We Help Daddy, that signature in the middle has the tail of Mr. Jeremy Fisher. Can't read today. And then I just cut it down to fit. And so then I folded it over so that I could read some of the story. And you can make it into little pockets or cut it down completely. So here's some more of it has such nice vibrant coloring in it. And the ducks. There he is with his fishing pole. And oh, the fish has got the frog. So that's where I am so far. So today, let's make pockets for our books. And I've gathered a few ideas. I don't know where we're going to place them in our books yet, but I'm going to let's put the books aside. And let's make some little fabric pockets to start with. And grab up the sewing machine quick. And I want to back the pockets with some copy paper or printer paper or typing paper, just plain old lightweight 20-pound paper. I'm not going to use the tea dyed on this because that is precious. And we're going to make one fabric pocket for each of our books. So I need 3 pockets. I'm going to have one, this little music one from the Tim Holtz fabric. I'm going to have that one in the Child's Garden Book of Verses. And we'll use the ABCs in the other 2. And I like to have it about 6 inches. Let's see, how big a piece do I have? It's almost 12. So in order to maximize this, we'll have it be a little bit shy so I can get 2 rows of pockets. So what I'm just measuring a little bit, and I'm going to make a snip on the bottom, and then I'm going to rip it. When you're ripping the cotton, then you know it's always going to be straight grain. It's kind of nice and handy. And then for the bottom here, I'm just going to, well, let's just use the top and I won't have to worry about straightening out the bottom. Get rid of a couple of threads. Goodness, I'm tired this morning. I don't know why. Okay, let's go about 2 3/4, or you know, let's just go ahead and aim for the pink line. I'm just going to cut it across rather than, oop, there goes the G, rather than rip it. So we've got one more pocket. And now for this pocket, let's go ahead and just cut it on the blue line. That looks like it'll be about the right size. I find that putting in fabric pockets adds a little bit of interest to texture. And you can use whatever you like to make the pockets, of course. Anything will work. Now I'm going to just go ahead and attach them to my paper. Got the glue hiding behind the sewing machine. Well, let's not use the fabric. Well, yeah, we'll just be careful with it. So on the back side, I just want to just carefully, just gently, just a little bit. Just to tack it down till we can get it sewn. And just kind of pat it. We don't want it to seep through it all in case there was a big glob. It might even be best if we don't use the fabric tack, if we just go ahead and use Uhu. Just to err on the side of caution, because it's such a light background, and I would hate to have the glue seep through and ruin our pocket. Because this is just going to tack it down till we can sew them. And the glue, of course, it goes on blue, but it dries clear, so we don't have to worry about that. And then make sure I don't have any threads on the back side. Get back up in frame. Okay, now I'm just going to roughly cut around my fabric. A little bit easier to manipulate in the sewing machine. And for the pockets with the torn edges, I try to cut the paper just shy of the edge of the fabric. Okay, let's go ahead and zigzag around here. And I like to start on the bottom so that I have my thread tails on the bottom. And you can leave your thread tails, but I can't. It's a thing I've got. All my years of being a seamstress, I can't have any thread tails. It just goes against everything. So I'm living dangerous with the ripped edges exposed. I'm used to encasing every little seam and everything in all those gowns. Okay, so let's go ahead and make another pocket. And our last one. Then I've got some other pocket ideas. Okay, so we have 3 fabric pockets to use. And so those are ready to go. We can pop those in our book. And then here I was digging through my stash and I found this little page that I'd already backed with copy paper to make a little pocket. And it's a little girl with her dolls and stuff, so that can go in one of our little books. And here I have a book out of an old vintage reader with Daddy, so we'll make this one into a pocket. And here's a little girl, it's Alice, with her dog Kip laying in the grass. So we'll make that one into a pocket. So these are just reader pages. And we'll grab out our copy paper again. And you can stitch around this or not. But with the age of this paper, I am going to back it with this copy paper so that it's sturdier and give it a little bit of a stitch for the decorative purposes. I had to check both sides of the reader before I cut it out to make sure I wasn't destroying a more opportune image. And I'm just butting them up next to each other. Don't want the glue to dry out prematurely. And if I have a little bit of white showing, I can always ink it up. And this one I'm going to do some straight stitching. And then mix it up a little bit by putting in a few zigzags. And go back to the straight. This machine is a little bit harder to manipulate like that than my nice one, but it'll work. We're gonna go with it. I'm used to buttons to push instead of dials to turn. So now we have one pocket, and see, I just did some straight and some zigzag and straight, just to give it a little bit of interest, just to have some fun. And you can do that or not, it's up to you. Have some fun, it's only paper. The only thing I'm making sure is that they're not directly across from each other. That's the only guideline that I follow. So here we've got our other one. So we've got one of these book page pockets for each of our, one for each journal. So I've got 3 fabric ones and 3 like this. And how about, okay, and get rid of some of these threads. Here we've got some music paper, and what I've done is just cut a piece and folded it under so I've got sturdy edges. And then I have some lace that I glued down and then I zigzagged. You can see more on this side. And then we're going to decorate the middle of it. So I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac for the lace, and I'm going to put it on this side where it's denser. And up there at the top. Now that I have it glued down, I can cut it off. And we're going to zigzag up here at this loose edge. So let's go ahead and put a piece down here as well. I find my music book pages or sheet music at estate sales, secondhand stores, thrift stores, and garage sales, flea markets, that type of thing. So they can be found all over the place. And I've got some old hymnals that I like to tear up and use as well. Okay, so I'm going to zigzag on this fabric, or trim. Okay, I'm going to put the sewing machine down for a little bit. It's getting kind of noisy, wasn't it? Okay. And these two pages look a little aged more than this, so let's go ahead and age this up a little bit too. Why not, right? There, just so that it's not as stark white. Okay, let's have some fun with that. I printed out Mrs. Cog's Children Adventures on rice paper, and I reduced it to put 2 on a page so that they're smaller, so that they'll fit in my theme. And we just want to find some images, and I like to use this tear ruler is by Plaid, and it's metal. It works really nice. Suppose move it aside a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And there's that little white margin down there that I don't want. And these little scraps of the rice paper, can stamp on those and use those also. Or not. But I thought it was a good idea. I haven't tried it yet, but maybe we'll give it a shot and see if it works. Okay, so just inking it up a little bit. another little image, so how about that one? Mrs. Cog has such wonderful images. I use quite a few of them for different projects. And this little couple of children on the sled in that winter scene, I'm not going to use that one today. So I've got these little seed packets that I got at Target, and they work great for storage of these little things that you're going to use maybe later. Like here I've got, like here's Mrs. Cog's pollinators, so they're all in this little, and then I saved the words and just clipped it so I know what's in that packet. And here's some roses that I've already cut out to use on a project. And then I changed my mind, so they're in a little packet, so that window makes it nice and easy to see. Okay, so I have 3 little images. Let's put the rest of these aside. And I've inked up one of them, but okay, so let's use those, but that's not enough. I've got, here's some 1904 dictionary page. We can use some of that. I got lots of leftovers over here in my pile of stuff. So we can just and let's see. Here I've got a page. This is Russian. No idea what it says, but it's just interesting. So that's ready to go. Here I've got some tissue paper that I've tea stained a little bit. This might be kind of fun to collage with as well. It's got D's all over it. It was a wrapping of something. Oh, I think it was from DeLandrecies, I believe. I like that. It's straight, but I like how it's darker there, so. And what we can do is just put it over on the side. That'll work. Okay, so here it is. I have this matte gel. And of course it's not open yet. So grab a paintbrush. That one might be too big. You can use Mod Podge if you'd like, or glue, or anything. I just thought I'd give this a try. I've seen so many other users, creators on YouTube in the junk journal community use this, and I was curious, you know, how does it work? And does it work? And will I like it? So I bought a tub, and I thought, let me try. It's really thick. It's, you've probably used it already. Where Mod Podge is a lot thinner. But, you know, we're going to have some fun. Okay, so we'll use yeah, I'm getting a little sloppy, but that's okay, right? But I found that the trick to doing the collaging is don't think about it, just do it. And what's the worst that can happen? It's only paper. How about if we grab, I've got a little bit of sari silk. Why not, right? I want that on the image. I suppose now is when my larger brush would come in handy. Let's just put that aside to dry for a little bit. And play with another one. And if I don't like them, I won't put them in the books. We'll do something else. Let's see, what else do I have in this little stash? Got a bunch of goodies, little odds and ends that I keep for whatever. Oh, I know. How about some shorthand? Let's use this. Looks like a perfect page. Well, for this one, oh, wrong brush, making a mess. How about if we just move on to the other one and I figure that one out later? Maybe a bigger brush would have been better. I don't know. It's my first time playing with that. We'll figure it out. Okay, now what I want to do is frame the image in the book page. That's what I want. So we're gonna rip I should probably be using paper under this rather than my mat. But, you know, isn't that what the mat's for? Oh, it really sticks. It's like it's magnetic almost, so there's no moving around after it's down. That rice paper is wonderful to work with. And then let's put the image just right there in the center. They're feeding the horse. There, and then we'll let that dry, because we can always revisit it and see if it needs other little embellishments. But we're going to let that dry. I just stuck my finger in it. I'm going to put them over to the side where I won't run into them. Okay, we still have this one we needed to revisit. So make it quite a bit darker so we've got some contrast. I get so quiet when I'm doing this. Okay, we're going to let that dry. And that's enough for this right now. And put that to dry over on the side with the others. And put my bits Gotta keep my bits. You never know when I'm gonna want them again. Don't want that one. Okay, so we've got some more pockets to make. I gotta stick this brush in a water jug. Get rid of this. I'm all sticky. That's okay. We love it. Okay, I've got some goodies in my I was playing with the leftover cardstock I had, and I got little made little matchbook type notepads. So let's make another one of these. So I need my scoreboard. So we're going to score at 1 inch, at 6 inches, and 6 1/8. That's all. And this particular piece of cardstock is 10 1/2 inches by 3 1/4. It doesn't matter what size, it just whatever. These are the little offcuts I happen to have, so I thought they would work. And see, they're a little bit different size, so it works. Get rid of the scoreboard, and then you want to fold the paper with the hills and mountains, or valleys and mountains. So here where we scored, it's a valley. So you want to flip it over to the mountain side. And that's where you fold it for the strength of the paper. So I'm going to fold on each of the score lines. And this bottom one. So now we have like the folder to our little matchbook. So now I need some paper to go in here. So let's grab a sheet of coffee dyed paper. You can use scraps. And let's see, this one, it's 3 1/4, so I'm going to cut this down to 3 inches, and I'm just going to do 2 3-inch strips. So I'm going to trim at 6 and again at 3. So now I've got 2 pages. Put them together, fold them in half, oh, it's parchment paper, and let's use this one too. It's not 3 inches, but that's okay. We're going to have another couple pages in our notebook. So just fold it in half, and let's put it in there. But now it's too long, so we're going to use our pencil. I'm going to have the folded edge up here at this end of the matchbook. So I just want to mark maybe 1/8 of an inch shy of the first score mark, so we know where to trim off our paper. And you could tear it if you'd like. I'm just going to pop it in the trimmer. So now we have our little pages. And these just happen to be long sheets because I had a piece of paper, but if you're using scraps, all you have to do is just stack them up and put them together and nest them centered into that fold. I'm going to hold it down, get a stapler, and you can use, I'm using a tiny attacher. You can use any stapler you have. And I'm stapling so that the ends of the staple are at the top. So it's on the back, you're not going to cut yourself or poke yourself with the staples. So I'm out of staples. Okay, we can use this stapler. So any kind of stapler works. And then it's got the little bumps. And what I use is my little tiny hammer, and I just pound them down. So now they're easier to cover. So I've got to load some more staples in this thing. We'll do that later. And here on this one, you see I've rounded the corners. You can round the corners or leave them square, doesn't matter. And then we can decorate these. You can use washi tape, trim, paper, anything. There, we'll put some music on it. You can ink the edges. Your imagination is limitless. All the different ideas you can use. You know, I have a book that I use for this gluing, but yeah. It's underneath that pile somewhere. And I'm just trimming off the edges. So now it can be decorated, and you can put an image on this side as well, or we can rubber stamp. I like to rubber stamp a lot. But I don't know which book they're going to go into yet, so I don't know what theme I want to go for. So that's the little notebooks that we can make to put in one of our pockets. And then, see, I've got a whole box full of goodie ideas. Here, let's finish these up. Here's some rubber stamping that I've done, and I just punched it out with a 2-inch punch, and then I punched out a big scallop, a 2.5-inch, and so I thought these can be little corner tuck spots. Let's find that book. Here it is. And then I'm just centering it into my disc so that I'll have a little tuck spot. A happy memory never wears out. And I'm doing everything in 3s because I want one in each of the books. You could make as many or as few as you'd like, but I'm just trying to give some pocket and ephemera ideas today. I want that one in the Raggedy Ann book. So that's just a real simple little tuck idea. And then, oh, we have a paper clip handy. I don't know if you've seen Tracy Fox curl the little paper clips, but what you do is just grab the end on the outside with your round nose pliers and just grab it and turn. And then I just straighten it up to line up with the paper clip. And now you have a curl. So that's how easy that is. So play with it and have some fun. Gives just a little extra bit. Okay, let's make some more goodies. Okay, I thought I had a tea-dyed one. Okay, well, with this one, I just use scrapbook paper, and this is what we're going to make. It has a string tie, and it opens, and has a pocket here. And a tablet here. And what we're going to do is pick a page. Here, let's just use this one. And we're going to glue it in near the bottom on these 3 sides. And so then you're going to have a pocket here. This opens, comes down for your other pocket, and then you have your little tablet. And I was trying to figure out how to make it close, and so I thought I'd use these string ties, but oh, here we go. This is my prototype out of the coffee dyed paper, but it doesn't stay shut. You could use a paper clip, but so this was my idea to begin with. And then just, I use deli paper, but you can use anything. But to keep it slim, that's why I like the deli paper. It's so lightweight. So let's just go ahead and make one of these. Move our book. And here I have a big piece of scrapbook paper. This is 12 by 12. I'm going to just cut it. It's 6 inches all the way down. So I'll have 2 strips that are 6 by 12. We don't need the glue right now. Don't need the tear ruler right now. So we have 2 strips. This measures, I believe it's 10.5. So you can use, yep, this is 10.5. You can make it 11, you can make it 12. I just used the 10.5 in case you have an 8.5 by 11 paper. And if I have that 10.5, see, I have this little scrap that will come in very useful. So this one's going to be our pocket. And we're going to fold up about 2 3/4. You can eyeball it or measure, doesn't matter. Just where it looks pleasing to the eye. And then we're going to fold again. Not right on that because you want a little bit of room to access your pocket. So I'm going to fold like about here. And I flip it over because the part that's left over is going to be my flap. So how big do you want your flap to be? And then I fold that flush. So that's my flap. And then you can take your corner chomper and just round your corners of your flap. And that's going to be our little book. So I want a little thumb notch here, so you can use any kind of a circle punch. Find the center, eyeball the center, make it off to the side, doesn't matter. I'm a center girl, so I'm going to make it about there. So now I have a thumb notch. And we need to measure this because our little pad of paper is going to fit in there. And it's about, not quite 3 1/4, it's a little over 3 1/4. So I'm going to go for 3 inches again for my paper. So you can use some more deli paper, or you can use some tea-dyed paper. So I've got some deli paper cutoffs, folded in half. Find nice ways to use up my scraps. But it's going to be too wide, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it to 3 inches. And it's going to be a little long, so I want to trim it off on the bottom. That's going to work. Okay, but we need some kind of a little band, a headband or something for our little notebook. So I'm going to use a scrap of something. Doesn't matter what it is. My scraps are getting unruly. How about some dictionary? That will be nice. Let's do that. And then we're going to nest this in. Grab the sewing machine again. And go ahead and just stitch on the top. And I want it to be messy sewing, so I'm just going to turn it around and sew again. Done with that. So we just have our little notebook, and then we're going to glue it in. And I'm just gluing the little headband of the notebook. And centering it. It's close to the edge, but I'm centering it between my folds. So now we have a little notebook. So now, if we're going to go ahead and use those little button closures, we need some circles and some string. So I'm using a 3/4 inch punch, and I got some cardstock circles punched already, and I want to have coordinating punches too. So, and I always flip it over so I can see where I'm punching. So these are going to be our little buttons. So we need 2 of those. Now we're going to glue them together. And I use art glitter glue. And I put it right in there. Because it dries so quickly. It dries clear. And it's not globby. So I'm just centering them up. My fingers are so full of glue. And press it. And same thing with this one. And now I'm going to put glue on these again so we can put our little decorative paper over the top. Lining it up, squeeze. It oozes the glue out to the edge. Notice I don't put glue all the way close to the edge. It's because it will seep. So those are going to be our buttons. Now we need to find the center and punch a hole. I've got this little template that I've made forever ago. I'm going to go ahead and use that. But you can just eyeball the center, and then just use a black Sharpie and put a dot so I know where to punch the hole. Now we're going to bring out the big bite, and we're going to use the 1/8 inch hole, and I'm placing it in there. Get my hand around it, and I'm depressing the lever somewhat so I can see where it's going to punch, so I know if I need to move my button, and then go ahead and punch it through. And one more time. So now we have our two buttons. Now we need to find out where to place them on here. And this is 6 inches, so 3 is going to be my center. So put my button where I think I want it. Mark it. And same thing down here. You can feel where you have that cutout, but that's why I have that cutout in the center too. It's because my button's going to be there. But you know what? I've got a better idea. Okay, let's just place it where we want it, and we'll go with that. Measuring for my center. And here we go. So we're going to punch there. And I need it to be more stable. All right, crafts. Oh, I've got lots of paper, but no cardstock. Well, we'll remedy that. We'll get another piece. And I need it to be more stable, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut a strip. Oh, that'll work. I'm going to use a pinhole right now so I know where that is. And I'm going to glue this in. And from the past, I know that if you round your corners, it's easier for things to insert. So I'm just using a 1/2 inch. So we're basically making it a Band-Aid because it needs to be stronger, because this is just paper and it will have so much pull on it because it's going to be our closure. And there, now it shows a little tiny bit, but because it's white, it doesn't show up bad at all. That will work. Now we will punch a hole. So I'm getting in there and looking for my center and punch through. Okay. Now I need, you can use a brad, you can use an eyelet. I really prefer using eyelets, but for this little project, I'm going to use brads. And I just grab 2 out. And flip it over, open up the legs, and now I need my circle punch again. And some good strong glue. I don't want papers that I put in my pocket to get hung up on that brad, so I'm making it a Band-Aid. Oh, and it oozed. Good thing I used Fabri-Tac. It'll rub off. Now we're going to glue this pocket shut. All this tools on the desk. I'm going to use our art glitter glue because I love that fine tip. Just along the 2 edges. And flip it up and press the sides. So now we have our pocket, our notepad, fold it up, and now we're going to punch the hole for this one. Okay, and we still just have this lightweight paper. So I'm going to put a big patch on this after we put the button on it. But let's punch out another button first. I'm going to use the little one. I just want a hole in the center, or close to, doesn't matter where it's at, and I'm just going to glue it on so we have just a little support there. Now we can go ahead and attach the button. Open up the legs. So here we have our little button. It's going to be so cute. So now I need this patch. And I'm going to go across the whole cover. And it's 1 1/8 inches. So I am going to just cut my cardstock. Too wide. Okay, so let's cut it to 7. And I need it to be by 6 because that's how wide it is. And we're going to use our corner rounder on 2 sides again so it matches these corners. And we're going to do a dry fit. See if I need to do any fixing. And it's going to go right in there. So our flap will be a lot sturdier. So now I can go ahead and glue it in. And I'm using white because that's the other side of the scrapbook paper is just white. So it won't show up. Or you can make it a fun, crazy color too. That works. So there, now I have my buttons. So now we need a thread or a cord. So we're going to see what I've got. There. This will work. And I just kind of tie a loop. Put it around the top button. And pull it shut. And this is how I discovered that I needed support on the paper, because the very first one I made, it ripped right through. So there wasn't enough support in the scrapbooking paper to allow for pressure for a string tie. And then it just loops around the buttons. And then on the bottom you can sew it or tie a charm, or I just tie it in a knot. And it can be as long as you want. So there we have another pocket. And so we're going to glue it in 3 sides. So that will work. That'll be nice. And now what we're going to do with the other 6-inch wide by 12 is I'm going to cut this at the page length. And so that is 7 7/8 for me. So I have this, and now I'm going to grab the scoreboard, and I'm going to score at 2 inches. then corner rounder again. On the 4-inch side, I'm just going to round these two sides. And now we can fold on that score. And then we have a pocket and a flip right here. And here, we'll use this orange page. So what we're going to do is put our little pocket and flip on the edge. And we're going to glue here and here and here. Let's go ahead and just do it. We're going to live dangerously. We're just going for it. That way I can show you what I mean. And I want just a fine line at the bottom of the pocket. Starting to get crazy with my glue. And I'm using the art glitter glue, and it should stick to the wallpaper well. And then flip it over, press it down, and see, now we have a pocket. When we flip it over to this side, we have a flip out. Oh, I'm off screen. There, so it flips out. So we have a little flip out. And we've got some of the branding on the bottom of my wallpaper. So I have to think of something to cover this with. Some type of a pocket or a tuck or something that's not going to interfere with our flip, because I put the flip there now. But see, for instance, and it can be any kind of a little pocket, you know, like, see, because on this side we're going to need something too, so. And then we have so we're going to do that when we put our pockets together, but, and you can make as many of these as you'd like to go in here. And then, so from this piece of the scrap, I still have this scrap. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it at 4 inches. So go ahead and trim that to 4 inches. And then this way I'm going to trim at 4 inches also. So I have a 4 by 4 square. Looks like that. Now I'm going to take corner to corner. Can't see on that color. And fold it up. So now we're going to have another little tuck spot with a flip up for journaling. So, and it can be on this corner or this corner. And see, that effectively covers up my branding of my wallpaper. That's the downside of the wallpaper books. They have a strip. This I don't think I like as well there, but I do like that. So I'm going to go ahead. Well, you know what? Let's think twice before we do that. I want my signature sewn in before I glue this in, because I don't want it to interfere with my stitching. But that is, I like that idea. That's a great idea. So I'm going to hold off on that one. Okay, do we have some more pocket ideas? Let's grab my little box of goodies again. Okay, we did that. We've still got more goodies in here. Let's play with those. Okay. Here we have these little index cards. Let's do something with that. Wash my hands. It'll wait. We can do it later. Okay, what we're going to do with the little index cards. I saw this idea on Wendy's Journal Adventure months ago. And every now and then I'll do it. Not very often, but it's just kind of fun for this little book. It'll be great. And it just takes 2 index cards, and they don't have to be colored. They can be white. It doesn't matter. And for the one, we're just going to fold it in half and crease it. And then my corner rounder, and going to round the corners. And then we have our little journaling booklet. And I did ink around that one. So it just adds a little bit. So you get the idea. Okay, now to make our little book or pocket. I didn't measure, I just folded. And it's just a 3x5 index card. And this is an inch and 1/8 if you want to know the exact measurement. Or we can do it this way. Whatever looks good. And then crease it down with the bone folder. Ink that edge. Glue it. Do the corners. And then we just need to decorate this right here. And my music page is coming in handy again. Or you can stamp, you can put lace. I got such a new piece of music, it looks like that. It looks white. Not anymore. There it's. So we can just go ahead and just glue that down. And then can have a little journaling word. How about we play a little bit with these. Let's make a word. I think I've already gotten. Okay. Yep, here we go. Got some more pieces to it. I thought so. Journal. That works, right? So let's find something fun to stamp it on. This looks like fun. Let's do that. And I'm going to use Black Archival by Ranger. Jet Black it's called. And yeah. I think I moved, so it might have a wiggly. I did. Flip her over and do it over. And just hold it for 30 seconds. Much better. These peg stamps, they're all individual, each letter. I got them on Amazon. And so let's rip our word and rip it again. It's getting pretty little there. Let's see if I can do it. Yes. So ink our edges a little bit. Looks like I had something on there. And then we have our little word. And you can decorate it any way you want. Use any word or an image, fibers, lace. And if you put it off to the side, you don't have to worry if you got it centered or not. So now we have another little pocket to decorate one of our pages with. It's kind of bright, but that's the fun of the journal, right? And when we're gluing that in on our page, what we can do is just glue on the side, the bottom, and the side so that we have another pocket up here at the top. It'll be a skinny one, but it'll be dual duty. And that's always fun. So here, go ahead and glue this one closed too. And we're going to use some trim. There, that'll work. Which side's the right side? Okay. I'm going to cut off a little piece so I know where I'm at roughly. Use Fabri-Tac on this. And again, I want my glue in the denser portions of the trim. And a little bit up at the top. And then just tap, tap, tap. and can just trim off the excess. And then we have another little pocket. And this one can have a word too. Should we stamp it again? See if I can get this one right or if I muck it up. That's okay. We'll have a do-over if it doesn't work. My paper was big enough. That is in the plus side. And we can rip it or just trim it. I kind of like that curlicue, but it is, that curl makes it, it's too big for that card. So how about if we put it on the green one? Because the green one is screaming for some help too. Go ahead and chop my corners so it's starting to look like a pocket. Yeah, we'll just make it simple and just put that on there. Ink my edge a little bit. Got some straight edges, I've got some torn edges. A little bit of everything. I have to refill my glue. This is the art glitter glue that dries clear. And I was running really low. It's been so cold. I live in Michigan and the weather is up and down, and you cannot get this glue when it is below freezing or anywhere on its trip. It can't sit out in the cold. So it finally is warm enough now where I got a new bottle. So I'm a happy camper. So now I have to refill it. I just saved my little tiny one because it's easy to handle. It doesn't take much desk space. Desk working space is at a premium. And it's not in the center, but you know, that's okay because we can put something fun there. Can't we? And I remember seeing those tweezers. Look at there, a little flower. Perfect, right? Oh, let's use the white side rather than that side. Yes. Oh, way too much glue. There, all fixed. And then we'll glue it shut. And then for our little notebook that goes in there, round my little corners again. And for fun, let's round all 4 of the corners. So when you open it up, it looks like that. So here we have another little pocket. Got lace trim everywhere. So here we have 3 ideas of little pockets that we can put in our little golden books. So that's a winner. Get my stamps out of the way. And we ended up using, like with this spotted paper, we almost used the entire 12 by 12 sheet. These are the only pieces I have left. And those scraps will come in handy for something in our journal, won't they? So I'll put these aside. And then I just have one more idea today about these. But I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and we'll do these on another day, because I imagine it's getting quite long that you've been with me today. I want to thank you very much for watching and have fun crafting.